Peace and blessings. This is Nubia I, the raw food goddess, the womb priestess, and the holistic practitioner. And I'm decided to come back with you or to you with another video. Yeah, I did a video this morning, and yeah, it was right after my meditation and my normal morning rituals. And I wanted to tell you a little bit about me and my background, where I come from, and where I get my training from, and who I am. Again, this is again in question to what does my consultations entail. So let me tell you a little bit about me. So I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, and I was born in Brownsville, Brooklyn, at Kings County Hospital. And I grew up in what back then they called the neighborhood Vietnam, and it was because it was ravaged with just war inflicted men coming back from the Vietnam War. And I remember walking up the flight of stairs to get to my apartment, my mom's apartment, and stepping over literally dope fiends and basically vets that came back from the war and fought for equality and justice and came home to find none. But I lived with a very spiritual mom. My mother was indeed a seeker. She would study all the world's so-called religions, whether it was Islam, Hinduism, uh, um, Santeria, Orishas, um, Hare Krishna, metaphysics. She was just a seeker of such a unique and wonderful woman. And my mother had a special gift. You didn't have to go to school. You didn't get specially trained as a practitioner, just anybody. This was a gift that I truly say was handed down from generation to generation. And I remember, like I said, we came up in poverty. I mean, on welfare, collecting food stamps. I mean, the whole thing. Poor single mother on welfare. How did you do it? My mother was that mother, but she kept us together, and there was always a closeness. And because we were poor, I believe, and because we couldn't have all those material things that other people had to keep us outside of ourselves, I can't remember when we ever had a TV that lasted or worked for a long time. There were periods of time when we didn't have TV at all. And she would have us sitting around because she would read some new book on meditation or something and would have us children, I'm sure we were 6, 7, and 8, meditating and fasting and praying and indulging. And we never had to do like a go to church. We were not really in any organized religion. It was very free. My mother was, I mean, what some would call today, I guess, a hippie, but also a Black Panther. I mean, she indulged and she uh, connected to the Black Panther Party. And so at one night we would have a bunch of Black Panthers at our house, having a serious meeting talking about, Black consciousness. And on another night, she had her hippie friends over talking about, Hare Krishna, peace and love, and Buddhism. So it was a very eclectic kind of living. I knew my mom was spiritual, and I knew that she had a gift, but I didn't know how much of a gift until I got a little older, and we actually moved out of Brownsville and moved into Park Slope, Brooklyn, which was almost impossible at that time. Well, it's very impossible now to get in and be able to afford rent, but at that time it was too. But it was new and emerging, and it was a new neighborhood, and it was about peace and love. So anyway, we moved in. Still poor, still on welfare, but living in a much better neighborhood and able to breathe. And this is when I noticed that my mother would start, she was very much into readings and doing tarot cards. And she would know things about us, what was happening. Even when we didn't want to explain to her why we were sad or why we were unhappy, it didn't matter because she always knew. And she'd be back there reading the cards in her room. You could hear the cards just shuffling. You'd be like, damn, she's going to know everything that's happening. I don't want her to know, And she was smart too, I mean. So she had common sense and a lot of what you call mother wit and just knowledge from being alive for a while. But this is when I first saw that. And I knew we were different than all the other little kids because everybody else's mom was very Christian, Baptist, Jehovah, whatever, going to church and, talking about Jesus Christ. And that concept for us of worshiping one man and then a white man, it was just too far out for us. But we respected all religions and still do to this day. Uh, I remember after living in Park Slope for a very long time, till the age of 14. I moved there when I was about 5, and I stayed till I was 14. We came down on our luck, and we had to move to the housing project. So I lived in Wyckoff Projects, right down the street from up the street from the Gowanus, downtown Brooklyn. So I'm telling you my story. And coming from a neighborhood where we had all the fruits and vegetables and a nice environment, and going into the projects was harsh. It was scary. But because we had our groundation and our foundation, I mean, we knew about Black history because we didn't have a TV, so my mama would read all the time and then tell us the stories about. So, I mean, they came before Columbus by Ivan Van Sertima, John Hope Franklin, From Slavery to Freedom. I mean, you name the songs too, yeah, the music, the books. My mama would always educate us. So when we moved to the projects, we still knew who we were, but not really yet. We definitely were tested, and you know. So I remember then, this is when I'm coming of age, so I'm starting to date. And I remember at times when I was either at school or at work, and my boyfriends would be, I come home, my boyfriends would be sitting at the kitchen table with my mom, and I'd be like, "What you all doing?" And she would be reading them. She would be reading them, telling them names, naming their grandmothers, their great grandmothers, their history, what they're going through, and really, and helping them to be better boyfriends to us and all that. And I start thinking, dang, this woman that we wish would stop playing with the cards, she's actually healing people. I mean, there was a time I came home from work at this time. I started working at 18. And I come in, and there's a line outside my door, my mother's project door, waiting to talk to my mother. And my mother giving away everything so freely that she depleted herself and never asked for nothing. And so she had this tremendous gift. Her third eye was all the way open. And then, back then we wanted our mom to be like everybody else. Why can't she just be a Christian like everybody else? Why does she have to be some, because she was deeply into ancestral worship and ancestors, and calling ancestors, and, that we're connected to everything that came before us, and just beautiful, but still way open. No religion. She would never call herself that. Very metaphysical. You are what you think you are. I've learned this. I came up as a kid. This is my upbringing. And I don't want to go out. My mama died at 59 years old of lung cancer because her mind was so far out. She was so different, so heavy that her own family couldn't relate to her. And most people couldn't. And she was always bringing her vibration down to connect with everybody else. When in actuality, I wish she could have kept the vibration up and had people come up to her. She didn't quite know she was a goddess, although she called herself a priestess all of the time. People respected and knew my mother for the work that she did with her cards and her candles and her readings and her third eyes and her seeing. My friends from California, my mother visited California a few times and read people, they asked questions and she started channeling, and they called her like she was their mama. "How you doing, Mama Marie? Can you tell me what's going on?" She never got what I feel like she deserved. And she deserved to be compensated mentally, physically, spiritually. And I know, though, it wasn't all in vain because she passed it on to me and my sisters and my two brothers. We have it. And for years, I didn't want to admit or recognize or acknowledge that I had it because I was afraid of that power. And maybe I was afraid that I would go out like my mama with giving all the information out and leaving myself with nothing. But my mom, particularly 5 years before she died, she would be like, "Nubia, this is your calling. Nubia, you have a gift. Nubia, y'all don't know how many spiritual masters I studied with, how many books that I read, how many personal experiences that I went through, how many rites of passages for myself." And she looks at me and goes, "Well, why are you doing that if you don't want to really come out?" You know? So this is a call to all the goddesses. Some people call them witches, whatever you want to call them. You know what I'm saying? Priestesses, I like healers, women. Come out wherever you are, and acknowledge yourself and your gifts that you have, and acknowledge the gifts of other sisters that have that. We could all be in a society as people and be abundant and be wealthy and be prosperous if we all acknowledged and gave to people who have something that we don't. So when I want things, I can't do everything. I don't have every skill. I don't know every gift. I call people, I pay them, I do what I have to do because I want this. I want this. And so my background has been in the esoterics and in the fasting early. And even at that point, not knowing exactly what we were doing, but knew it was very different. And sometimes being ashamed of it. I'm no longer ashamed. I'm no longer ashamed of who I am, or what I am, or what I have to give. I am no longer. I just have to be careful not to do so much and give so much where I'm just like, what about me? But I enjoy this work. I enjoy this life. So for my mother, Carrollton Marie Sutton, my ancestors, I say, Ashe, my ancestor, my mother, my goddess, my queen, my priestess, this is for you. Because you taught me something. You taught me what to do and what not to do. And I am not going to dismiss this gift anymore. I am coming out all the way without apology. I am a priestess. I am a goddess. I am a queen. And so are you. That's what I know. And so are you. Get in touch with my website. I'll leave it on the bottom. I just wanted to give you some insight on who I am, what I am. And a lot of love, you know. I guess I'm the newer generation, even though nothing's new under the sun, and what's been we doing now has already been done, right? But I guess I'm really melding that open heart, that love consciousness, that power of the heart, that power to heal through love and heart opening consciousness. That's what I'm doing. Maybe differently. I don't really think so. Anyway, this is Nubia I, the Raw Food Goddess, the Womb Priestess, and Holistic Practitioner. And I'm wishing you love, peace, and prosperity. Hotep.